Hello friends, welcome to Lukman IAS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 10th June 2021. Let us see which are the important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Yes, these are the important articles for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. Let us take overview of all these articles first. Encouraging Accord, the editorial on page number 6. The context of this particular article, it is talking about recently the G7 countries finance minister in a meeting agreed to have a global minimum corporate tax. Okay, so what is this global minimum corporate tax? Earlier we discussed about this, but the significance of this step is being discussed and analyzed in this particular editorial. So GS2 paper IR, GS3 paper economy, from that aspect we are going to take input here. Specifically prelims related many developments. Yes, Dihing Patkai is Assam's 7th national park. So this is important because UPSC is asking more and more question in prelims examination on protected areas. Like last year many such questions from national park and wildlife sanctuaries, almost 3 to 4 questions directly, some kind of factual based questions were asked. So this becomes important looking at the trend of UPSC prelims examination. Pakke Tiger Reserves contingency worker go on strike. Already UPSC prelims, there was question in 2018 prelims examination regarding this Pakke Tiger Reserve. The word was Pakhui Tiger Reserve or Wildlife Sanctuary. Basically this is local name, so it is also known as Pakke Tiger Reserve. So which are the conservation or we can say protected areas of Arunachal Pradesh. Here we will also look into the protected areas of Assam. So state wise we need to prepare all these protected areas. This becomes important. Yes, mapping section will also cover that here. Anup Chandra Pandey takes charge as election commissioner. So yes, he is being appointed as election commissioner and this 3-member body Election Commission of India is now complete. So what is this Election Commission of India? Its constitution, and we will look into different aspects which are important for polity part, some constitutional and statutory bodies that are relevant to our examination here. Then center announces hike in MSP for paddy, pulses, oilseeds. What is this hike? And then basics about minimum support price, MSP. This becomes important for prelims examination. So we will take input accordingly. Lastly, some COVID-19 related developments at national and international stage. And at last, some practice prelims MCQs that we are doing practice on daily basis from current affairs of that day. Let us go into details of all these articles. First, encouraging accord. Accord, agreement, basically here the finance ministers of G7 countries, recently met and they agreed upon having a global minimum corporate tax. Okay, so global minimum corporate tax, what is this particular tax, why it was brought? Again, brief background, let us try to understand this. Okay, so global minimum corporate tax. Corporate tax is that tax which is, we can say, levied by the government on the corporations and their profits generated by corporations or companies, we can say, right. So global minimum corporate tax is for minimizing or reducing the profit, or we can say tax base erosion, or we can say profit shifting. What happens is these multinational companies, they are actually showing all their revenues or profits in low tax countries, we can say low tax jurisdictions. They are also called as tax havens, right. So because of that, what is happening is the origin country, or we can say the host country of that company, is receiving less amount of tax resources from the profits generated by that companies, and that's why now this global minimum corporate tax is agreed. Already OECD along with G20 groupings, they are working on such kind of tax regime because these MNCs are exploiting the global tax legal regime and its loopholes in this international tax regime, right? So now the opportune moment to plug this key loophole in the international tax regime has been sought by the G7 countries, and they have agreed to support broader efforts underway through the G20 and OECD forum. So yes, OECD has this we can say initiative named tax erosion and profit shifting. Okay, so this particular initiative actually focuses on having reducing such kind of inequalities and bringing all these countries at parity in terms of generating revenue, right? So this is how these G7 countries also agreed for a broader support to these broader efforts also. Now where does the problem lie? Let us try to understand. The problem lies in, we can say, suppose again let me explain how this global minimum corporate tax is going to work. Suppose there is country A and this is country B. Now suppose this is the host country or home country for company, for any one company. Suppose the name of the company is X, host country, and then there is tax haven. Okay, so like tax havens like Mauritius, Singapore, Ireland, these countries are actually having very low tax rates, corporate tax rates, and therefore these companies shift their economic activities and they show these economic activities and profit generated in these countries or these jurisdictions. Now what happens is, because of this, the revenue to the host country, this reduces, and we can say that the company is making more and more revenue or profits and paying less taxes as they are showing all the profits in the tax havens here. This is reducing the tax resources of home country, and basically now we can see in last 1 year the pandemic has struck, especially the western countries like US or some of the European countries like UK. Their economy has gone down now, right? So that because of that, we can say the revenue generation has been very difficult, lack of economic activities, and therefore now they are focusing on plugging this loophole in the tax regime, and automatically the revenues will be more here, right? So let us try to understand some facts here, how much tax loss is happening. So at global level, in 1 year about $240 billion loss of revenue is happening because of this kind of, let's say, loophole in international tax regime that we have. Okay, so this is how we have to understand. Along with that, if we are talking about for India, around 10 billion revenue loss, tax revenue loss in 1 year happens when these MNCs seek to avoid the tax. Okay, so this is how the factual information you can support with your argument. How India can benefit? How India can benefit? Yes, surely India's tax revenue will increase, and then this tax revenue can be further used by the government in terms of strengthening social sector infrastructure. So all these aspects are very important, because the profits which are being generated and we can say being shifted by these MNCs outside the country, this is not good for any developing countries like India, because they are in need of such tax revenue, right? So this is the benefit that India can have from such multilateral agreements or accords regarding global minimum corporate tax. Right, there are two concepts involved here in this article. There is mention of tax avoidance. Now we can understand that these companies are not evading the tax, rather they are avoiding the tax by exploiting the loopholes in the tax regime. Okay, so this is tax avoidance, that means this is legal. This is legal. However, tax evasion, another concept. Tax evasion, this is illegal. Here the legal loopholes, not only legal loopholes, rather the legalities, or we can say the rules and regulations are not followed, they are broken, and therefore this is called as tax evasion. Okay, and there are some, we can say, legal remedies available here with the government. There are laws, and under those laws the punishable offense is their tax evasion. Now tax avoidance, one cannot punish this because all this is there already, the legal loopholes are already there, so the law cannot be applied. So yes, many times such tax avoidance, even in domestic area, domestic companies are also doing this tax avoidance. Even in terms of income tax also, tax avoidance is very common. Right. So these two concepts, and opposite to these two there is concept called as tax compliance. Now tax compliance is, we can say, adherence to the tax regulations, rules, and paying the tax on time. This is called as tax compliance. When this goes down, then this increases. When these increases, this goes down. Right. So this is how you need to remember the basic concepts also. Fine. Now moving on, Dihing Patkai is Assam's 7th national park. Very important for prelims examination. In last 10 days itself, 2 national parks have been created in Assam. Yes, this is 7th national park, Dihing Patkai in Assam. Okay, so this Dihing Patkai in eastern Assam's Dibrugarh and Tinsukia district is a major elephant habitat, and 310 species of butterflies have been recorded there. In addition to this, on 5th June, World Environment Day, Assam government created the 6th one, Raimona National Park. Raimona National Park in Assam's Kokrajhar district in western Assam. Okay, now together there are total 7 national parks in Assam. Total 7 national parks in Assam. Let us have a look at all the names of the protected areas. We need to know the national park, tiger reserves, and biosphere reserves. It is very difficult to remember wildlife sanctuaries, but some of the important wildlife sanctuaries which are in news, you should remember about them. Right? Yes. Now, in Assam, earlier there were 5 national parks which were there: Dibru-Shikowa National Park, Kaziranga National Park, Manas National Park, Nameri, and Orang National Park. And now the 6th one is Raimona National Park, and 7th one Dihing Patkai National Park. Let us locate them. Let us locate them on the map. Now this is the map of protected areas of Assam. This you can find the information on NVIS website. Very important for all the protected areas, maps, information, core area of, we can say, tiger habitat, all these things are given. This is being asked by UPSC in prelims examination. Yes, locations of these national parks. First of all, Dibru-Shikowa National Park. This is Dibru-Shikowa National Park. Then second one, Kaziranga National Park. This is the location of Kaziranga National Park. Third one, Manas National Park. You can see here the Manas National Park. Then we have Orang National Park. Yes, 5th one. Yes, this is Orang National Park. And then we have Nameri Tiger Reserve and National Park as the 4th one. You can see here the location, Nameri. Okay, so in addition to these, now there are two national parks, Naimora. Yes, just now we talked about this, Raimona National Park and Dihing Patkai. Raimona National Park, you can see the location of Raimona. Yes, this Kokrajhar, and the location is here, Raimona National Park. Raimona National Park. And the seventh one is Dihing Patkai National Park. This is Dihing Patkai National Park. Earlier it was Dihing Patkai Wildlife Sanctuary. You can see here 13 number. Dihing Patkai Wildlife Sanctuary. This is now declared as National Park, 7th National Park. Now, the locations you need to remember, all of these locations. Okay, now the tiger reserve, you can see that there are 4 tiger reserves, and 4 tiger reserves, all of them are national parks also. All of them are national parks also. You can see here Manas is there, Nameri, Orang, Kaziranga. The one national park which is not tiger reserve, Dibru-Shikowa, and the latest one, Raimona and Dihing Patkai, they are not tiger reserve. Okay, so yes, Manas, Nameri, Orang, Kaziranga, these are the tiger reserve, which are 2 biosphere reserves of Assam, Manas Biosphere Reserve, Dibru-Shikowa Biosphere Reserve. So that means Manas and Dibru-Shikowa, they are both national parks as well as biosphere reserve. Now you can see in all these 3, along with that, Kaziranga and Manas are UNESCO World Heritage Site also. You can see Manas is present everywhere. That means Manas is Biosphere Reserve, Manas is Tiger Reserve, Manas is National Park, and it is also UNESCO World Heritage Site. Right. So you need to remember such kind of facts. There can be question on current affairs also. 6th National Park, Raimona National Park, and 7th one, Dihing Patkai. Fine. So this was about Assam, protected areas of Assam. Now, Pakke Tiger Reserves contingency workers go on strike. Actually, this is because of delay in payment of wages, non-payment of wages since December 2020. Okay, so Pakke Tiger Reserve, also known as Pakhui Tiger Reserve of Arunachal Pradesh. You can see the question, Prelims MCQ 2018, UPSC Prelims. In which of the following states is Pakhui Wildlife Sanctuary located? So answer is Arunachal Pradesh. Why it was in news at that time? Because one national highway was being built in Arunachal Pradesh, which was going through this Pakke Tiger Reserve or Wildlife Sanctuary, and this was going to impact the biodiversity and wildlife in that region. So that's why the protests were going on, environmentalists were concerned regarding this construction of national highway in Pakke Tiger Reserve. Fine. So protected areas of Arunachal Pradesh, 2 national parks, Mauling National Park, Namdafa National Park. Let us have a look at the location on the map. Again, the protected areas of Arunachal Pradesh. Yes, those from our foundation batch students, you need to have the follow up on this from the environment section, state wise protected areas that we are looking into from time to time. Yes, Arunachal Pradesh, first Mauling National Park location, this is the location of Mauling National Park. Then Namdafa National Park, location this one, the easternmost national park and tiger reserve of India, Namdafa National Park. Okay, Namdafa National Park. So these are 2 national parks. Now again 3 tiger reserves. Which are these 3 tiger reserves? You can see Namdafa, easternmost tiger reserve, Kamlang and Pakke Tiger Reserve. Let us see the locations. Kamlang Tiger Reserve, Namdafa just now we have seen here. Now Kamlang Tiger Reserve is again in adjacent to this Namdafa, and Pakhai or Pakhui Wildlife Sanctuary or Tiger Reserve, this one, the location. Okay, this is the location of Pakhai Tiger Reserve. Fine. Now Biosphere Reserve, there is one Biosphere Reserve, Dihang Diban Biosphere Reserve. Okay, so you can see here the location. This is the location of Dibang Wildlife Sanctuary. So Dihang, Dibang, this is Dibang Valley. So all this region is actually the together Biosphere Reserve, we can say, of Arunachal Pradesh. Okay, so Dihang Dibang Biosphere Reserve of Arunachal Pradesh. Now moving on, Anup Chandra Pandey takes charge as election commissioner. So the context is this one, this news. So Election Commission of India, basics about this: constitutional body established under Article 324. Remember the articles under which these constitutional bodies are being created. For example, other ones like CAG 148, Finance Commission, Article 280. If you are talking about the UPSC, State Public Service Commissions, then Article 313 to 317, such kind of articles are important, you need to remember them, right. Then it conducts elections to 4 offices: Office of President, Office of Vice President, then Office of Members of Union Parliament, then Office of Members of State Legislature. Okay, so members of State Legislature, members of Union Parliament, Office of Vice President, Office of President. The elections to all these 4, they are not concerned with elections to panchayats and municipalities. For this purpose, we have State Election Commission established in each and every state, right. So such State Election Commission is established under 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, right. This was made constitutional or given constitutional position. Now what is the composition of ECI? This composition has not been uniform. From time to time it has changed, like since independence to 1990 there was 3-member body, then it became single member body for 1 or 2 years, and now again it is resumed to 3-member body, 1 election commissioner plus 1 chief election commissioner and 2 election commissioners. They are appointed by the president. After, let's say, president after in consultation with ECI appoint regional commissioners to ECI. Now conditions of service and tenure shall be determined by the president. CEC and 2 ECs have equal powers, equal salary and allowances which are similar to Judge of Supreme Court. Okay, salary is similar to Judge of Supreme Court. Basically the decisions are taken on the majority if there is a difference of opinion. Constitution has not debarred them from any further appointment by the government after their retirement. Basically there are some concerns. These issues are discussed from mains perspective GS2 paper. What are the issues faced by Election Commission of India? And one of the major issue is the appointment criteria. There is no qualification criteria and there is lack of transparency in the appointment, how these let's say election commissioners and chief election commissioner is appointed, what procedure is followed, how the scrutiny of the names, different names is done. This is not transparent, open to the public. Along with that, the election commissioners do not enjoy the similar kind of independence, or we can say powers, security of tenure. All these things they are not enjoyed as compared to CEC. Okay, so ECs can be removed by the president at any time. However, CEC is removed only in accordance to the procedure similar to Judge of Supreme Court, that is impeachment process. So this to some extent affects the independence of ECs, right. So that is from mains perspective. Now term of commissioners, they hold the office for 6 years until the age of 65 years, whichever is earlier. Qualification, not prescribed any qualification for their appointment. These are actually the issues that we are facing. No qualification, appointment process is not transparent, then the powers of ECs, or we can say this, the protection to the ECs is not at par with the CEC. All these are aspects involved here. Now powers and functions, we know that just now we talked about the functioning for, or we can say elections to 4 offices are conducted by Election Commission of India. Along with that, preparation of electoral rolls, enrolling the new we can say that the voters, updating this electoral rolls voting list. Along with that, the constituencies that are demarcated according to the delimitation commission. Accordingly, the election commission also helps in that matter, right? So decides on the elections, it declares all the dates of elections and mobilize all the election machinery and the resources that are required, right? So this is how the functions and powers are there. Fine, okay. Now, center announces hike in MSP for paddy, pulses and oilseeds. Now, this is good news. The central government wants to appease farmers who are protesting against the 3 laws enacted by parliament in 2020 last year, right? So, central government hiked minimum support price for common paddy to 1940 a quintal for coming kharif season, less than 4% higher than last year's price of 1868. The decision was taken by Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs in a bid to encourage crop diversification. There was slightly higher increase in MSPs for pulses, oilseeds and coarse cereals. This is good news. You can mention in agriculture as part, crop diversification, cropping pattern, GS3 paper also, economy, there also this subtopic is there, cropping pattern. About MSP, this is important. This is actually the policy tool that government implements. It is having 2 objectives. First is that ensuring the minimum support or remuneration to the farmers for their produce. First thing, it acts as a shock absorber to the for the farmers whenever there is crop failure, or we can say the market values prices go down below certain level. Second aspect is ensuring food security through public procurement program. So government through FCI, Food Corporation of India, procures all these food grains whenever the farmers want to sell to the government at MSP rate, and then they are stored in the FCI godowns, and further they are provided through PDS to the weaker sections of society, poorer households at subsidized rates, right? So this MSP is rate at which the government purchases the food grains from farmers and is based on the calculation of at least 1.5 times the cost of production incurred by the farmers. The government of India sets MSP twice a year for 22 crops, 14 kharif crops, 6 rabi crops, 2 commercial crops. Then Commission on Agricultural Cost and Prices, CACP, decides the MSP and recommend it to the government. And finally, Department of Agriculture and Cooperation, Government of India announces this MSP before sowing season, right? That means CACP recommends to the government. On that recommendation, the decision is taken by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, and finally the MSP is declared by Department of Agriculture and Cooperation. This is the sequence. The decision making authority is finally Government of India. However, the recommendation is given by Commission for Agriculture and Prices. This is created in 1965, this commission, particular commission. Fine. So yes, MSP is important policy tool to change the cropping patterns, along with that to ensure the food security, ensure the appropriate price remuneration to the farmers for their produce. Okay. COVID-19 related developments. Yes. Now the new president of UNGA, Abdullah Shahid, he said that vaccine nationalism would destroy countries' efforts to eradicate the pandemic and must be avoided at all cost. Okay, so yes, he first gave the statement on vaccine nationalism and said that such vaccine nationalism should not be there. Okay. Now some practice prelims MCQs. Let us solve this question. What should be the answer to this question? Yes, you should take very less time on a straightforward question when there is no statement based question. You should take less time as compared to those questions. Yes, which of the following national park is not located in state of Assam? Not located in state of Assam. Dihing Patkai National Park. Just now we talked about this. This is the 7th national park of Assam. Raimona National Park, it is 6th national park. Nameri National Park as well as Tiger Reserve is located in Assam. Mauling National Park, it is not located in Assam, rather it is located in Arunachal Pradesh. Right. So along with these 3 national parks, there are further 4 national parks. Yes, just now we talked about all these national parks of Assam. Now, we are expecting such kind of question. What should be the answer to this question? Simple, straightforward, factual based question. Yes, select the odd one out of the following. Now students may be thinking about all of them are tiger reserve, then how to identify tiger odd one out. You need to understand that they may be located in one state, and yes, 3 of them may be located in one state, one outside the state. So such possibilities you need to explore when we are talking about finding out odd one out. Namdapha Tiger Reserve is located in Arunachal Pradesh. Orang Tiger Reserve is located in Assam. Right. Then Kamlang Tiger Reserve, yes, this is located in Arunachal Pradesh. And Pakke Tiger Reserve or Pakhui Tiger Reserve is in Arunachal Pradesh. So odd one out is this one. This is from Assam. Remaining are from Arunachal Pradesh. Right, this is how we need to solve these MCQs. So correct answer should be Orang Tiger Reserve, Assam. Fine. Yes. So these were important articles from today's The Hindu newspaper. Try to take input as much as possible. Make your short notes for final revision. Fine. For further information on new test series that Lukman IAS has come up with for ethics paper and polity paper as well as public administration optional subject. For more information about that test series program, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.
Live online classes are as effective as offline classes. Ethics with S. Ansari remains the best ever choice. Do you know that ethics paper is the only paper in general studies that pays more with less efforts? One can easily secure 130 to 140 marks. Lukman IAS is a well-established name since 2014 for ethics paper. We offer 3 types of courses: Ethics Foundation course, Ethics Case Studies, and Ethics Test Series. Since 2015, Lukman IAS students have maintained the records of securing the highest marks in this paper. Ethics Foundation course is starting from 21st of June 2021. Classes will be for 4 days in a week, from 11 am to 1:30 pm. The course duration is of 60 days and the videos will be available for 75 days. There will be 43 classes, of which 35 classes will be focused on theory and concept building and 8 classes will be dedicated for case studies. There will be over 180 case studies and 3 tests. Since 4 months are left for prelims, one can easily finish the ethics paper before prelims itself, and it's a good opportunity. So why to wait? Contact us today for more information.